I think
first salary was zero.
For a number of years.
For several years. Yeah. Because we had a team, and at the time that we started, at one point we knew that we had no money. It was Mushiri and Simeon
and
Benjamin.
That's it.
And was there at the beginning?
Yeah.
And crossover, yeah. So yeah. Crossover, yeah. Mushiri, Simeon, and Benjamin. And we had to meet with them at one point because we really were broke. And we said to them, look, some of you have children and everything, just go and find jobs. I remember where I was. I was at, had you come back to Canada by then?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I met them at Java. I said, guys, and it was late. It was like almost closing time Java. I said, guys, I'm sorry, but we honestly don't have the money to continue paying you. So I think the best thing for you guys to do is to look for jobs. Jay and I will start afresh. We'll try and figure out how to get back. And if we get back and you guys are still available, then we can call you back. And they said no. They said we believe in the mission that you have. We think that this thing is going to work. So don't give up now. Let's keep going. So I said, but we won't have pay.
Yeah.
And they said no problem. So for the first
6 years,
6 years, we had no salaries. But for the first year or so, almost 1 year, the team started on zero salary. Then maybe in 6-7 months in, they had like a quarter salary. Was it like something small?
It was. Let's just say if they were to go somewhere else, what we would be paying them was like 15% of what they would earn.
Yeah, but we owed them. Like we knew that it was quarter salary, and we owed the rest. So it was this. I mean, it wasn't a business decision, which is something I pride myself about. Why it was that it wasn't a
personal
business
sacrifice.
It was not a business decision. You see, if it was a business decision, then what we would have to do is that we'd have to think about, we don't have the money, so we'll scale down and then we'll do whatever it is. But when it's not a business decision, it's about human beings, and this is what OI has always been. So it's always about, we'll make an irrational decision, which is that we will accumulate debt, which is what we did. We accumulated debt for a while, because we said we will pay you that 3/4 when we finally have it.
And I think we that debt that we accumulated, we took it on from our personal finances, personal savings, and then that in itself had personal repercussions as well. So you're running this organization, you're trying to grow this organization, but in at the back end of that as well, you're trying to manage all the personal.
Family still expects that money, and they're wondering why is the money going away. And at that time, I think we were paying a quarter salary. Then we moved to paying a half a salary. Then we eventually were able to pay full salaries. But then we still, even after we were paying full salaries, we still could not. We still couldn't get a salary ourselves because of the fact that we had that debt from the quarter salary and the half salary. So we then were paying that for. So it took 6 years to finally be solvent enough and finally get a salary. But it was tough because I remember going to a Shylock with my car and saying, take my car and give us this money so that we could make the salary. And I think that's also the reason why it is our ethos that we don't give 2-year contracts like other non-profits. There's no way that you can have a full commitment and loyalty and love and all these things for the mission if then the thing that we do is we give people a 2-year contract that is based on whether the donors or not come in, which ties into even how we think about donor money. We think about donor money in the sense of we have something to do. It's the right thing to do. If we get the money, great. If we don't, we will still do it. And the kind of team that we have been able to nurture over time is the kind of team that we know, even if we didn't have donor money, at least for a while, these guys will still come with us and they'll still, So I think we have a really good team in that respect.
Yeah, and I think also it's also a testament to the fact that a lot of people who would have been in our situation would have given up a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the passion for the mission of what we wanted to do, it never started. Obviously, you have to earn a living from what you're doing. But we were so passionate about what we wanted to do that we had this, even at times when it was hard and it was lonely and it was like, okay, nobody's going to support us. We just never had that never give up attitude. It was always, we used to go to this cold place, but then come back and say, no, it's going to work out. And when you look back, it's amazing how we've come sort of full circle to be in the position that we are. But even in the position that we are right now, we still have those sort of niggling nightmares, and that keeps us up in the middle of the night, and we never want to go back to that stage, and that makes us push even harder.
Somebody said to me the other day that the reason people work hard is because of the fact that they've been hungry before and they never want to be hungry again. So we've been in a position where we couldn't pay salary, so we would never want to be in that place again. But the interesting thing is that the kind of team that we have had over the years has been the kind of team that in 2015, for example, the SDGs was being promulgated. We had Benjamin, we had Kevin, we had Dorsey. Not sure if Proline was there then.
I think Proline was there from the start.
Yeah,
even in the background.
And then what happened was that we learned that the SDGs were about to be released, and we asked them, so how, if these are the targets and there's 185 targets, then how are they going to be tracked? And so we just went and started building something, and it would take us hours, because that time we would leave the office at 3 a.m. and come back at 9 a.m. and continue and build this thing until it was there. And we had a timeline, because we learned about the SDGs a bit late. Well, the targets, we learned about them a bit late. So what we did is that we went on overdrive and built the SDG tracker in, I think, a couple of weeks. But our goal was to make sure that on the September day at the UN General Assembly that they were releasing the SDGs, we would make sure that we release the tracker. And so the tracker turned out to be the first one for the SDGs. And that thing about being first is one of those ethos that personally, I pride myself a lot in. The fact that we've got the kind of team that will push themselves extra hard just to make sure that we get that thing. Because once we got that, it opened a whole bunch of new doors, a whole bunch of new partners, a whole bunch of new types of programming and stuff like that. And it evolved us a little bit in terms of even the kind of things that we were able to achieve in that time.
Tell us about any fond moments that you two remember.
I think, I don't know if that was a fond moment. I don't know, for many reasons, I don't know if that was a fond moment. I think a fond moment that I remember is the trips that we used to make to places like Moldova. Because we were like rock stars. These guys are coming from Kenya. You used to sort of get surrounded. But the mere fact that, and for us, it wasn't like at least for me personally, it wasn't like I was such a well-traveled. It's not like it was until we started doing this that all of a sudden it was like, yeah, okay, you're going to Moldova, you're going to Poland, you're going to Washington, you're going to, and all of a sudden there were these trips that were happening. So I think the fond memories were, I remember the first, or it was the second open data conference that happened in Poland, and it was freezing cold. And I remember going with Al, and those are the kind of fond memories, because you're there in this kind of like dungeon type.
It was a warehouse.
Like a warehouse, and freezing cold with just a heater, and I would be there. We would be there watching these talks, and I would be there covered in a blanket and just there like freezing cold. So
I couldn't even stay awake because it's so cold.
So I was busy there taking photographs of Al to share. But I think those for me have been the fond memories where we were able to travel together. We were able to sort of preach this message, and I think that for me was a big one.
I think for me, it's that I have so many fond memories. I have fond memories of us cooking in the office, because we used to cook in the office. I've fond memories of one time in the very, very hard days, we had no money even for food in the office. So Kevin, who was an intern, at the time, he said that he's going to buy lunch. So he went to the kibanda, bought some sukuma wiki, kales in English, I think, and he made us ugali that day. And that for me was a very moving moment, because this was now the intern who had bought into the thing so much that he was able to, to do that. And then the celebrations around us achieving things. The celebration that we had when we went to Lynette, we did this project. The citizens used data to demand a hospital, and finally there was a hospital. And the celebration around that hospital was a big deal for us. The fact that it was proof that this thing worked.
Yep.
That citizens can use data to demand for something, and it finally works. Before that, it was all theory, right? So that was a moment when the launch of Elgeyo Marakwet's data desk is another big one for me. Even seeing somebody like Philip Jasperson. And Philip is this person who he worked at the World Bank, and he worked with us. And he was so pedantic about data and how we structure it and so on and so forth. And he kept pushing us, make it better. And to make sure that now there was a data desk in Elgeyo Marakwet, and it was working, and it was showing data, and it was robust, that was a big deal.
I think, like, there are very many memories, but I think two other memories that stand out for me is one where there was the first Devolution conference that we were supporting in some capacity.
Yeah.
But yet the team was not being allowed into the hotel. Because the security would look at us and say, well, this doesn't look like the caliber of people that should be.
We were all in t-shirts. And I think we had one car. No, we came in tuk-tuks actually.
Yeah.
We had no car, we came in tuk-tuks. And these guys looked at us and they decided, no, this is a high-end.
Yeah, get to organize, part of the organizing.
We were not only organizing, but we were one of the funders of this thing. But we were told, no, you can't come in.
And that was with the little money that we had.
That we had, yeah.
And I think,
And we had bags with us in the tuk-tuks that we had brought for the car. So we eventually had to now show him, this is bags. So they said, oh, so you're suppliers. We were like, no. But we came in as suppliers, and then eventually when we got in, they let us in.
The other, I think for me, the other fond memories that I have, that they're fond memories, but they're also sad, is meeting with people like Chief Kariuki.
Yeah.
And then people within our own team, people like Jonah.
Yeah.
For me, I wish I had the opportunity to spend more time with somebody like Jonah, but just the small amount of time we got to spend, with them and working with them and interacting with them, made a huge difference in our lives, the organization's lives, because without people like Chief Kariuki, we wouldn't have done some of the things that we did that set.
He was such a visionary.
Yeah, that set the foundation, right, for where we were going for doing that community work. Because in essence, the subnational work started with Chief Kariuki and the projects we did in the
and going all the way down to the community.
The working with the Invisibles started with working with Jonah, right? And those are fond memories.
You just reminded me something about Jonah. So we are going to Lamu on this, I want to say, scoping mission. We were trying to figure out what the Invisibles are, and we were trying to figure out what that looks like. And we are in the plane. And, and Jonah is sitting next to Proline. And the plane has turbulence. Now, Jonah is this massive human being, and Proline is this small little human being. But Jonah grabbed onto Proline this entire all the turbulence. And then when we got to Lamu, you land in Manda Island and you have to get on a boat so that you can go to. If you're traveling anywhere, you have to travel on a boat. Yeah. What was interesting was that this boat driver that we had the greatest amount of fun with Jonah, because of the fact that he would just go really fast and hit those waves just so that Jonah would go, it was wonderful. I mean, we've had wonderful times at OIM.